Okay, so this morning I'm going to do a quick video on making a tool for my bathroom fitter. Now it's something he says that you can't get hold of. They don't make a special tool for this job. So I said to him, well, I'll make you one. So what I'm going to use, a bit of spring steel, a bit of stainless steel, only because I don't need to use make the whole tool out of a bit of spring steel. It's a bit of a waste really. It's basically a big screwdriver. I'll explain it later on, but let's get cracking. So, first job, uncoil a bit more spring. I'm only going to need, I don't know, 3.5 inches, something like that. Because as I say, I'm going to use a bit of stainless for the main handle. This is literally just for the business end. I could probably get away with less actually, but I just want enough to hold on to. And what this is for, as I say, it's a sort of a big screwdriver. It's to tighten up the waste on a bathtub. Apparently it's really difficult to do if you're on your own, which Darren is most of the time. If you take a look at this picture, it's the little slot right in the middle. It's like a huge screwdriver slot, and that's what this tool's got to get into, but it's very narrow. So, next job, I'm just going to turn it into a chisel point, basically. Just flatten it out, fishtail it out. Quite long, because it's got to be so thin at the end. And that's sort of the basic shape. I want to try and keep it parallel at the end. I'll just put a chalk mark on there how wide I want it. I want it about 1 inch wide. The actual slot, there you go, is only about 3/4 of an inch, but he wanted a few mil either side, so which is obvious really, so you don't have to be too accurate and you're not going to slip out of the slot all the time. So that's the idea. Try and keep the end flat. It's got to go down to about 1 inch wide by about only 1.5 mil thick at the end, which is why I'm using a bit of spring steel, because it needs to be a bit tough. And it's got a bit off centre here, so I'm just going to try and square it up so it comes down the centre a bit more. Yeah, so I'm using the spring steel for the toughness, because if I made it out of mild steel, it's just not going to be strong enough, even though there's no real turning force. You don't do these things up, you know, really tight. But even so, with it being so thin at the end, I'm going to keep the toughness with a bit of spring steel. It's about as thick as I want it now. I'm going to grind the rest. Just fiddle about with it a bit. This really gets hot very quickly with it being so thin at the end, so keep an eye on it while it's in the fire if you're doing anything this thin. Just changed hammers for a slightly lighter one for the final touches. I've been waiting for this new bathroom for about 20 odd years. I've had so many fitters turn up, measure up and never be seen again, until Darren turned up, and he's doing a fantastic job, above and beyond. He really is going, you know, fantastic. I hope this little tool will help him out. I think that must be about it by now. Right, that's it. It's still a little bit off centre, but I'm sure I can tidy that up when we grind it. So I've got a medium grip belt on here. Try and tidy up the shoulders. Checking the width. I think that's getting there. I'm just going to put a slightly finer belt on. This one's a little bit coarse. I've got some real cheap nasty ones here. They're horrible things. I don't know where I got them. I think I bought them because they were cheap when I first built this belt sander, because I wasn't sure that the belt sander was going to work and I didn't want to spend mega bucks on decent belts and then find that it was absolutely useless. So I've got a few of these left to get through. These fine ones are quite handy for some of these little jobs. I'm just going to try and keep the... I want to keep the taper as... I don't know if it's shallow or steep. Shallow as possible. That's why I'm going right up against the shoulder almost. Because if you go too sharp, when you use it in the hole, it'll slip out. If it's not almost parallel on the sort of coming up. It's about the right thickness, although I've got a little lump in the middle, which I think I'm going to have to try and get out. Yeah, so if the taper is too steep and you try and use it, this is like if you're using it as a screwdriver, which basically this is, it would jump out of the hole because of the sharp taper. So I'm trying to keep it as long as possible so it doesn't jump out when you try and use it. And I think that'll do. It's not perfect, but it won't focus. You come on, focus. There, just about see it at the business end. It's about right. And we've got about the right thickness, about 1.5 mm. So I'm just going to weld the handle up. Just putting a little T-bar on the end. That isn't going to be the final handle. I'm just MIGging this up with ordinary mild steel wire. Mild steel wire welds stainless perfectly well. Obviously it won't be stainless, the weld, but for this job it doesn't matter. Now let's weld the doodah on this end. I want to try and keep it straight with the handle. And try and get it as straight as I can, but it doesn't really matter too much as long as it's somewhere near, because I'm going to stick this back in the fire again and blend the two together, because this is like 1/2 inch to 3/8. So I want to try and blend it in a bit so it doesn't look so obviously welded on. Alright, that'll do it. Get it back in the fire. See, I've got my shorts on. So after a pretty poor few weeks, it's actually really hot today. So I've got my legs out. You see why I wasn't too worried whether it was exactly up the centre, because I'm moving it about quite a bit. But as you can see, I'm just trying to blend the join in a bit. I hope I haven't made this too long. That's the only thing I'm worried about, but if I have, it's easy enough to cut it down. It won't take me long to whip a few inches out if it's too long. Alright, so that's about it. So I'm going to give it a quick clean up. And now we're going to harden it. So that's non-magnetic in the oil. Keep it moving so you don't get a hot spot around it. That'll do it, I reckon. Alright, now you can see, as with my other videos, the black sort of carbon that's come out of the old oil. So I'm going to get that off with my sort of burnishing disc that I've got, just so we can see the colours come down. Oh, come on, focus. Focus. You can see it's shiny anyway now. Just taking that carbon off. So we're going to temper it the same way as I did before with the torch. And I hope this isn't going to come down too quickly, because that end is so thin. I've got a nasty feeling that the colours are going to rush down. So I'm going to have to keep my eye on the pencil a bit and get it in the water a bit sharpish, I think. Here we go, here's the colours coming. I'm going for dark brown this time, because it's more of a torsional stress on it rather than the sort of... There we go. Oh, that's gone too quick. Quick, quick, get it in the water. In the water! Oh, I think I might have missed it. Yeah, a little bit past it, but I think that'll be alright. We're sort of more on the purples. I think we'll get away with it. As I say, it's more of a torsional force rather than a I don't know, concussional force, because there's no hammering on it, it's just literally the twisting. Now I'm going to make the handle, and to get it to key I'm just going to put some cuts in this T-bar. Right, so I've whipped it, some slots in with the cutting disc, and I've cleaned up this end, get the colour off, just so it looks a bit better. So what we're going to need for the handle, I'm going to use, we want an empty container, and I'm going to use the polymorph thermoplastic granules. Now if you want some of these, look in the description and find my Amazon page, and there'll be a link to it on there. So I'm going to fill this with water, hot water, pour some of these in, mix them together, and Bob's your uncle. Right, let's stick some of these in. I don't exactly know how many I'm going to need. That'll probably do it. Bung some boiling water on it. And you can see already they're going clear. Look at that. That's only a few seconds and they've gone clear out. That's hot. And they start to stick together. Once they've all gone completely clear, you can whip them out the water. And see how it's all coming together. There's a couple of white ones still at the end there. Give it a few more seconds. Doesn't take long, this really doesn't. And when it's all gone clear like that, you can start squeezing out the water. Out, that's hot. And as you squeeze, it all comes together as one piece. Now today is the perfect day for doing this because it's really warm in here today, and it stays malleable for quite some time. In the winter when it's freezing cold, you get halfway around squeezing this stuff onto where you want it and it's gone off, it's gone hard. So today is a perfect day. So I'm just squeezing it around that handle, pushing it into those slots so it's not going to come off or move. Get it tight up around the shaft, and then basically just play about with it until it feels right in your hand, until you get the desired shape. And if you want to reshape it, all you've got to do is put it in hot water again. It takes a bit longer because it's not in granular form, but it will come back again. You see it's already starting to go back to white. So that's basically it. So I'm slightly worried that it might be a bit too long, but that is an easy fix. So let's get it home and I'll show you what it's for. This is my bathroom halfway put back together. The shower tray's in. This is all Darren's stuff. The walls are plastered, chased in, ready for tiling. New board on there, ready for tiling. The bath's plumbed in. The toilet's plumbed in temporarily, just so we've got something to use. That's going to come out again before it's tiled. All this lot will be tiled. Ceiling's been plastered, ready for the lights. That'll be painted before the tiles go on. The bath is actually fixed down, but this is what it's for. He wanted this really before he put this in, because obviously you can put the waste in first, but it's got to go across that slot, which obviously an ordinary screwdriver, if you get one wide enough, it's too thick. So let's see if that will fit. Look at that, lovely, beautiful. So as I say, I just hope it's not too long, and he'll be able to get his hand underneath and above. He's got to hold the bit underneath. But we'll see. When he comes in on Monday, he can give it a go. There you go, it's gone completely white now. So that's for you, Darren. I hope it works for you, mate. And no doubt you'll let me know. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.